Welcome back, everybody, to the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Aisha Shelton, and we are happy to be here today.
We are.
We barely made it.
Did we?
Yeah, because we were tired as hell, and I
Oh,
was
yeah, that's
like,
true.
if you yawn on this podcast episode, I'm gonna
Oh,
be
no, that's
pissed.
true. But we took energy
We
drinks,
did.
and that was great. They actually taste really good.
It was good. You know what? We should probably put some energy drinks in the office for those times.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
right.
works.
I think I will order some.
No, that
Um,
makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here. Kevin will not yawn a single time this
I will not
episode.
yawn a single
He
time.
is excited about today's topic.
I am.
Um, and so we got some. I guess it's not tea. It's like full on
We got big news.
public knowledge. You don't got to do all of that.
No, I was just playing.
Everybody is getting a divorce.
Everybody getting divorced.
Everybody is getting a divorce. So this week in pop culture,
It's been lots of divorce.
it's been lots of divorces, and so who is it? Tom Brady and
And
whoever his wife is.
and Giselle.
Okay.
Giselle.
Somebody
And the
fact
board
check us.
says Giselle.
Tom Brady and his wife. We don't know his name.
Uh-huh.
Tia Mowry and Corey
Yep.
and Miguel and whatever his
And
girl's
his wife.
name is.
His wife.
Okay. This isn't new, but Neo, right?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Neo and his wife.
Crystal Smith.
Is that Neo's wife's name?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Neo.
Giselle, the
Neo
board
and
confirmed.
Crystal, Giselle and Tom.
Bunch of
Somebody else?
celebrities.
Who else?
Married at first sight. Or married at one of those shows.
Okay.
That couple is good.
Okay, cool. This must have been on the Shade Room, like a slide of all the people that was
Yeah,
getting
it was
divorced.
something like that. I think I saw it on Google, like on the page.
And Nia Long, she wasn't married yet.
Oh, but they broke up.
Nia Long, well, okay, let's not say they're getting a divorce. They
But
might stay
he
together.
cheated.
He ain't shit, but they might stay together.
Don't curse.
He is not a great guy because he was cheating on his wife, but they might stay together. And no shade to the couples that do that. Like,
No, I mean it is what
whatever
it is.
works for you. And I'm certainly not saying like that's a whole different subject.
So everybody getting divorced.
Everybody is getting a divorce.
So if you clicked on this and you see the thumbnail, we getting a divorce. We ain't actually getting a
Let
divorce,
the record
but
reflect.
everybody else is getting a divorce.
Not today.
And we gonna talk about it.
Not today. We not getting a divorce today.
Nah, we ain't never getting a divorce. We ain't got no prenup.
There can't be a prenup because we made all our money together.
That is true.
Okay.
No, it's funny. So Tia Mowry and her husband, I don't know if you saw the divorce papers or whatever, but she cited in the divorce papers, neither you can't put spousal support because we got a prenup.
Yeah, and she made her money before they got together.
Mhm.
That's not your money.
And the
But-
same thing with Giselle and them. Giselle got plenty of money.
But okay, so I've been hearing that, right? Giselle has plenty of money. Where'd she get all her money from?
She's a model. She's a supermodel.
Oh,
Super model. Like she makes $20 million a year modeling and she don't do print and don't do runway modeling.
what kind of model is she? A hand model? or
No,
something?
she's been a model for so long. It's all of her old stuff that she did that pays her that much money. It's like Mariah Carey's song that comes on every Christmas.
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
get
yeah,
paid
yeah.
from old stuff.
Okay. So Tom Brady and Giselle, that's like a thing. And everybody, first of all,
Let me see the net
we're
worth.
podcasters. We're podcasters, and so we have to talk about this kind of stuff because this is like
Yep.
stuff that people are talking about. But I don't care about anybody else's marriage.
Oh, here we
Really
go.
don't.
So Tom Brady's worth $250 million. Giselle is worth
$250. She's worth for what?
$100 million.
Okay, that's you got to say all the numbers.
All right, all
that
the
matters because she could be worth $4 million.
Yeah. So that's why those memes came out. It's like Tom Brady and his divorce lawyer asking for spousal support because she got more money than him.
Well, everybody is so hurt behind. I know for me on my timeline, everybody was hurt behind Tia and Corey, and I'm just like, okay, like
Oh, you ain't hurt behind it.
I don't know these people.
That's
I
true.
don't
That's a
care
good
what's
point.
happening in these people's household. But I mean, I don't like divorce. Like I'm
No, for sure.
I don't like anybody that has to go through a divorce. But there was also this. Now, let me be clear. I don't know what Mercury retrograde means, but I've seen people say like Mercury is in retrograde. That's all these
People say it all the
time. So I mean, as far as us specifically,
Mhm.
spousal support.
No, I mean we own
We
everything
would just like
outright.
split everything.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, it's so hard. And we had dinner with a friend of mine who was telling us about dating now and whatever. He was
Mm.
making us laugh with his crazy internet stories. Dating is trash right now. I would want to date.
I mean, it's definitely more challenging than it was when we got together for sure.
So it's easier to just stay in your relationship than it is to be out here. And I mean, if you never want to get married again or whatever, all right, cool. But even here's another Mackenzie Bezos is getting a divorce.
What was that?
Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. So her and Jeff Bezos broke up. She got remarried to an English teacher. 18 months later, getting a divorce.
An English teacher.
Like a regular guy.
That sounds like an imbalance.
I mean, she's $500 billion.
And what kind of English teacher?
Not $500 billion.
It doesn't
like
matter
$5
what kind of
billion.
English teacher. He doesn't.
He came up today.
The money yoke ain't equal. If nothing else, now they may be equally yoked spiritually,
Spiritually.
perhaps sexually, but that big money gap, I can see that being a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is this, and we can really break down divorce and really talk about the things that go into that, but at the end of the day, the grass is green where you water it, and it takes work either way, right? So a lot of the causes of these divorces are people just opting out, right? Like if you
We
look
don't
at
know what
no,
happened.
I'm saying whatever happened,
Okay.
you're opting out. You're saying I'd rather do whatever versus work on this, right? And if you look at, like, let's take a Tom Brady and Giselle for instance, he'd been playing for forever. And then he retired, went back, and and that's why everybody's saying that caused a lot of the strife in their marriage that led or is leading to the divorce. But the reality of the situation is, well, you done spent 10 years not really working, so the second you get back home and now you've retired, you won, you finished, you did everything, you're a different person now. And time happens. Time comes in between everybody.
Well, and two, she probably was like, okay, well, I imagine they had conversations like, okay, after I do this, this, and this, then I'm gonna settle
I'm good.
down.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. And you're right, there is that space in between them that creates two different things, two different people. I remember I had a colleague of mine, we sat on a board, and he was a pretty well-to-do man and had a beautiful wife and sons. And I mean, he was always out with us. We were single and not out at the club, but he spent a lot of time with us after a board meeting. We would go to happy hour. We would do all kinds of stuff. And not all kinds of stuff. I shouldn't say it like that. Anyway,
I appreciate you correcting the
I
record.
know I'm like, wait a minute. No, but I'm just saying, like, he hung out.
Yeah.
And when their boys went off to college, they just had nothing in common.
Yeah, you looked at each other like, who is this person?
Yeah, what they had holding them together were the boys basketball schedule, the boys like lives is what held their marriage together. And then when the boys left, it was like, okay, now
There was
what do we do?
There was one of the books that we read, and I forget if it was his needs, her needs, or something like that. But it put exactly what you're saying into a parable. It was like, when everybody leaves, all you have left is the time, all you have left is the memories, right? Yeah. And that's what you're holding on to. So it's not who you're standing across from, it's who they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And the problem with that is you're different people. You become different people.
Yeah.
So if you don't stay closely connected, if you don't stay tethered, you separate. You know what I mean? And even if you look at, and celebrity's hard because of the fame and whatever, and people travel or whatever. But what happens a lot of times is people start living different lives. They're different people. You know what I mean? That was one of the things that Neo's wife cited was he had this whole secret life where he did whatever and had babies and whatever.
That's what happens when you are on the less attractive spectrum and you have money and
so you saying Neo is ugly?
he's not a very handsome man.
Oh,
and so when you have I imagine
you popping.
Yeah, he's like popping, right? And so
back then they ain't want you, now they hot you.
Yeah, so it's hard to control that. It's kind of like that John Gray situation, Poor John Gray.
know
He
what
just
happened in John Grace?
what? You know John Gray always cheating on Aventer. That's his wife's name.
Oh, okay, because I'm like,
Okay. Yeah, always cheating. I mean, like back to back to back. And it's so public and just
oh damn.
disturbing. And he comes out and he apologizes publicly. So you get caught, you publicly apologize, and you just keep doing the same thing. And it's just like this man has a gaping, ugly hole. I mean, physically and
All right,
I'm
we gonna leave the
it's just
speculation of
ugly.
attraction to all the. I'll say this: you can't judge folks, right? We don't know reasons. We don't know whatever. I know what works for me in my marriage, and that's all that I can attest to. At the end of the day, everybody's accountable to their own partner and relationship or whatever. But the sad part about it is there's so many people caught in the collateral damage, whether it's their children or their
Yep,
extended families.
that's true.
Some of these relationships have been 10 plus years, 15 plus years.
That's
So,
true.
the saddest part about it is you in the paper, you break it up, your kids got to go to
The
school and
blogs.
deal with that.
I'm
That's a
watching
lot, man.
YouTube all day about
Yeah, and that's trash. So,
that sucks.
it's a sad part about it. And at the end of the day, these are real people, and there is life past divorce. I'm divorced. You know what I mean? I'm divorced, and then the sun was brighter. The sky opened up, and God gave me you, and I'm so thankful for that. So we don't know what good things could come out of this.
That's true. And I feel like everything happens the way it's supposed to,
Mhm.
but also they're cautionary tales too, right? So the one thing that I've always been very clear about in my relationships was that if you not working for this relationship, then just so we clear, like I'm not working. So I just like, so we just we don't care. Okay. Like I'm gonna make sure that I don't care either because the hardest thing to do is try to make a relationship work and make all of these sacrifices or try to make changes when the other person on the other side of the table is not. And so while I'm not a proponent of divorce at all, I also recognize that like if you're the only one fighting for your relationship, like give it up, sis or bro or whoever you are, like give it up. But if you have two people that are trying to figure it out, and not everything works, and if it doesn't work, then it just doesn't work. But at least you need two people at the table. I feel like trying to make it work.
And the reality of the situation is dynamics are at play. You know what I mean? Like as you become different people, you want different things. You have different goals. So let's say if you take a 10-year marriage and you out here striving, you out here getting it, you making sure, you're, working in your industry or whatever, you're building up your career, and then you go into happy hours, you're doing all these other things. Your life is changing and your partner's life may not be changing.
Yeah.
And if y'all not lock in step, then what it becomes, there's jealousy that becomes, there's a lot of times their envy, right? Like, and I'm talking about person to person envy, like you're doing better than me and we're in the same relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's, that kind of sneaking self doubt and low self esteem that comes from one partner when one partner's rising than the other.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff weighs down on a marriage. And then you got the work of the actual life, right? Like who's taking care of the kids, who's taking care of the house, who's making sure the mortgage is paid. And it's real hard with somebody who's a celebrity and somebody who's not, or even two people who are celebrities
Yeah.
because they have so many different demands on what life looks like. So, marriage in itself is already hard. Once you add all that other stuff on top of it, it gets extra hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
That's true. So people always say when they know what we do, like, oh, you're a builder, oh, y'all do real estate, y'all should have a show. And we're like, nah, we
No.
good. Like, this is the
Now,
extent.
if you ever see us on a show, though, don't judge.
Okay, I'm just saying, at this point in our lives, the answer is eh.
They
And
come with
so
that right check. I
we
don't know.
even, I don't know about that. Even when we've been approached and like shopped, we're like, nah.
Yeah.
Because what's the motto? We'd rather be popping in real life
Then popping on TV.
than popping on TV. And you just bring what you bring is the court of public opinion
To your
into your
relationship.
business, your relationship, your marriage, and now everybody's having conversations about, yeah, because when Kevin said this, that,
Like
the
we are
third.
right now about these people.
Exactly. Like who wants to live like that? I'm good. I don't want to live like that. And you're right. That's not to say that we may never be on TV. But I would need to have a significant amount of control to give it up, because when I think about celebrity, I feel like every single celebrity gets to a point where privacy becomes a luxury, you
Yeah.
know? And some people have done it right. The Carters have clearly done it right. Now they've
Hmm.
had a few little leaks and exposures and
They
drama,
had their moments.
but I'm sure there's so many other moments in between all of the years that they've been together that's been just their business. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And specifically from a reality TV standpoint, y'all really don't have many
Clue.
private
Yeah.
moments. I just feel like they don't have very many private moments or very much control over how those are exposed.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you think about people having a baby and they want thousands of dollars for pictures of your baby or whatever, right? Like those are real intimate moments a lot of times.
Yeah.
So um, that's hard. And those are some of the reasons why I wouldn't want to do a show. But like we said, we always want to have a great marriage and not necessarily uh, what it looks like a great marriage on TV.
Yeah.
So if you were to give some advice to couples who are maybe trying to figure it out, not that we have anything perfect and not that we've been married forever, but just from, the time that we've been together and what's worked for us, what advice would you give to some of those other couples that are either in the midst of trying to figure it out, haven't gotten it all together yet, but trying to get on that path to have a more succinct marriage?
I would say, be intentional about your relationship, right? So we get in the thick of life and we're paying bills and we're going to work and we're taking kids to practice and all of this very much life stuff. I think it's important that you get together as a couple intentionally, building your intimacy. For us, because we're marriage and real estate, building our business, like that's a form of intimacy for us as well,
Mhm.
planning and building and that kind of thing. So I think that's important. I think making sure that nobody is above your spouse, right? Like your best friend, your homegirl, your homeboy. Like if at any point there's this relationship that is paramount to the person that you chose to be with, that's just that I think that's dangerous.
It's a
It
violation.
is, whether it's a woman or a man. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I remember I had friends that were like, "I can't believe you put this guy over us," and I'm like, okay, this supposed to be my husband."
That was a big thing
It
for
was a
us when
big
we
thing.
dated because you coming from a group of single women or whatever, you chose me real quick. Like you were like,
I did.
this gonna be my husband. Sorry, and I know that it was a point of contention.
It was, and then as some of those women got married, they got it.
Mhm.
And you know me, I really just don't care. I'm like, you'll get it one day.
And then, boy, they got it. Yeah.
And then, boy, they got it, right? So I think not putting anybody above that, because, there's danger that lurks in there too. The secrets that we have are truly our secrets for sure. And then also with the kids, like, you need to be raising them to go out and be on their own and nurture your relationship with your spouse. And I think we talked about that before, because at the end of the day, it's going to be you and I.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons that you taught me when we dated was it's you and then your kids, right?
Mhm.
And I think for a long time, especially after my first divorce, I was like, oh, um, it's gonna be me and my daughter or whatever. And you came along, you're like, no, this girl gonna grow up and go do her own thing and
Okay.
not care about you,
And look
right?
at her now at 14 years old.
And
She's
don't
not
care
trying to
about
spend a lick
nothing.
of time with
Mm-mm.
you. Now, before it was daddy, daddy,
It
daddy.
was
Now it's like
daddy, and now it's
daddy.
like, hey man, I don't want you coming to my business class to talk. That's embarrassing.
I don't want you to come to my volleyball game.
No, so I'm thankful for that lesson because it gave me a life and it gave me freedom
Mm,
to live a life with my partner, which is you. You know what I mean? Um, that's something that I've learned to cherish as a safe space for me just in my life, and also reinforce, right? Like water that grass on our relationship to go, all right, I got to walk through the rest of my life with this lady. When everybody else leaves, we the last two people cleaning up. And in our life is very much that. We
mm,
have conversations all the time. And this will be my points to give to that couple is the buck stops with us. At the end of the day, and I tell you this all the time, it's just me and you. If everybody else goes away, we got each other's back. So have each other's back.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Have it be where the one person you can count on is your spouse. When everybody else drop out, when there's nobody left in your corner, your spouse is in your corner. And also protect your marriage from, this is going to sound bad, protect your marriage from your family.
Ooh, yeah.
So people fight. People have issues. You're going to have argument from one day or whatever. Don't bring that out to your mama and your sister and your brother and whatever, because as you get over it, they're not going
Because
to.
I'm gonna forgive you and they not.
So, think
Yeah.
about the long-term aspects of your relationship to go, okay, if I know I'm going to be here, maybe this one little fight I don't need to tell Kiki about, because Kiki gonna, hit him over the head or whatever, or hit her over the head, and it's not worth it.
Kiki
It's
though, so stereotypical.
Kiki, you love me.
Don't do
That's
it.
where it came from.
Okay.
I ain't know. Anyway, so that's my
Sorry.
point. My last and final point would be work on yourself.
Yep.
Because in addition to you being a partner, you're also an individual. And if you're not growing, you will find yourself jealous of your spouse. And that's easy to do. Because if one person is growing and you don't feel like you're moving forward in your life, man, that it hurts your feelings. It's like, this person, is better than me or beating me or whatever. When the reality of the situation is, her wins are your wins and your wins are her wins. But if you don't feel like you win in life at all, it's real hard to see that win.
But that's why check-ins are so important too,
Mhm.
right? Because if I'm feeling that way, and if I'm just out here grinding and you feel some kind of way about it, then a check-in would have easily checked me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, okay, well, what does this need to look like for us to get back on kilter? What does this need to look like for you to feel better, instead of this big gaping hole of, jealousy or resentment or whatever? So, I mean, I don't know. I think that, let all of these divorces serve as a cautionary tale of, marriage is fragile, and you work as hard as you work on your job, and as hard as you're working on real estate and to get these investment properties and all of these goals that you guys have. Put that same amount of effort into your marriage as well. Find yourself around like-minded, marriage-minded people who are happy. We say this all the time. It matters. Just because you're married, you hanging out with married folks,
Don't mean you're
you
happy.
need to be hanging out with happily married people. It's important, or you will not be unhappy.
If you hang around four
Four
unhappy
happily married
people,
people,
you
you're
gonna
gonna
be
be the
the
fifth.
fifth.
You're definitely gonna be the fifth. So, find yourself in happily married circles.
Like that bad marriage for life.
Bad
Crap.
marriage for life.
I don't no bad marriage.
I think if they could take that back, they totally would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody getting a divorce, but we're not.
No, we're not.
This has been the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast.
We out.